Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pop Cult X The Buzz, the show where we serve up raw, unfiltered thoughts and opinions and all the trending and buzzworthy pop culture hullabaloo. From breaking celebrity headlines to the latest in movies, music, and gaming, we're here to break it all down with our Gen X perspective, of course. So buckle up because things are about to get bold, rash, and maybe even a little bizarre. I wrote that with my AI companion writer last night. So it was one of those things that, I need a cool intro. And so that's what we came up with. And there you are. Welcome to The Buzz, everyone.
There we go. Awesome.
And of course, if you weren't living under a rock and had a Netflix subscription, I think probably 120 million of us tried to tune in to watch the huge Tyson-Paul fight last night. And there was a lot of different mixed opinions on it, I guess. Jen, were you able to watch it or buffer it last night?
Dude, I thought you should put in the post-production of this video, the circle of death, aka the buffering.
Just freeze for a second for me.
Yeah. No, I'm a big Mike Tyson fan, so obviously, personal stuff aside and the mania that he provided the world with biting people's ears off and things like that. But, he's a big part of my childhood. I actually saw him driving in Brooklyn, New York one time in a drop top, which is really cool. Wow. He was in the passenger seat. Somebody was driving him and he was waving at everybody. It seemed like a cool dude. But yeah, yesterday, a couple of things. One is my wife, she told me something very new that I didn't know, which is, why are they fighting in Texas? And I was like, girl, I don't know. Maybe the arena, I don't know, whatever. And she told me that it's actually because I guess the age issue is not a factor as far as getting it passed in Texas. So it was really interesting.
Yeah, to get it sanctioned, I guess. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and Netflix, I mean, they failed on so many levels. Forget the fight. Like, you should have had all the things. Mike Tyson's such a big draw. Jake Paul is a big draw for young folks, especially. And so for the fact that they didn't prepare for the buffering or that many people watching. I think I heard or I saw something in an article that said we weren't prepared for it. We didn't think there would be that many people watching. And I'm like, oh gosh. And I just saw in a promo that they're going to be hosting football.
Yeah.
During the holidays. I'm like, y'all better not mess that up. So yeah, it was interesting. The boxing match was not interesting. I actually like the undercards probably better. Mike Tyson looked older. I think 6 months ago he looked faster and much more prepared. But I feel like the 6 months after the current, yesterday's fight kind of showed his age. So
yeah, but let's talk about the undercard real quick because that gave me hope that maybe I can jump into the ring one day as a YouTube personality, because the first fight especially gave me more of that hope. It was like, I could probably take on one of those guys. I mean, I haven't trained in boxing, but give me 6 months to prepare, maybe.
Yeah, it was pretty sad. I don't care how many tattoos you have on your body, it still doesn't make you tough. And so that's the funny part. And then they were obviously, it was just amateurish. And if you looked at the records, it was so funny. I think one was like 12-4, another one was like 2-1 or something like that. Yeah. So I mean, you didn't really have to air that, to be quite honest. They could have just fought on the undercard unannounced. They didn't have to be on there going like, "Hey, Ma, look at me." Yeah, definitely not. Sort of what UFC does before they actually air the real fights.
Yeah, I think the first two bouts could have been pre-aired. Just to warm up the crowd there. But we didn't have to see that on the Netflix special.
No, not at all. Waste my time. And then we have buffering. I mean, buffering. What's that? What are we going to call that? Buffering gate?
Buffering gate, yeah. And we're not talking about Michael Buffer for those out there who didn't see it. We're talking about, the little 25% or 99% circle you see in the center of your screen because there's not enough bandwidth from Netflix to load properly on your screen.
Shame.
How did you get around that? I know what I did. What did you do to make it watchable for yourself.
So let me tell you something. So I have a thing called a Fire Stick, and the Fire Stick has allowed me to tap into many of the areas of the globe. And so I actually tuned into, I think it was the Mexican broadcasting. They were actually showing it.
Oh,
And
okay.
for those of you who don't know, overseas, typically they actually show American stuff for like free. So just FYI. And so, and then vice versa. It's weird. It's a weird system. But anyway, I was able to hear my brothers and sisters in Latinodom do commentary. So then I had to translate for the rest of my family that was watching, which was
Okay.
hilarious. But it was cool. It was crisp, no buffering. I didn't have to worry about, whether or not I was gonna have to like reboot and or go back out and come
That's
back
what
into Netflix. So yeah.
that's what I had to do. I had to exit the video, enter back in, and I think it left me like a few seconds behind a couple times,
Yep.
but at least it didn't buffer every time. So every time I would try to go back to the live feed,
Yeah.
buffer right away. So I just let it, fall back a few seconds delayed, and then it was okay. But
So what did you love the main event? What would you think about the main event?
I have many thoughts on that, but I want to talk real quick though. We'll get to the main event, like Netflix did. We'll save that for the end. Let's
Okay,
talk
okay.
about the Serrano Taylor fight, the ladies women's championship bout. Um, I think Serrano should have won. I don't want to say she was robbed because they both put, you know, anytime you get into that ring, especially at that level of what they were competing at, not the first
Yeah,
card, but at what they were competing at, anytime you get in that level of competition and you're giving it your all, which both ladies did, I don't think anyone can be robbed per se.
yeah,
But then again, the judges did kind of rob her. So
yeah,
it's one of those things where she was robbed, but they both gave it their all. And that fight was crazy.
yeah, yeah. I
Back and
agree.
forth. It was.
Yeah.
Any
I
thoughts on
yeah,
that?
they put it all out there on the mat,
Hmm.
on the ring. And so yeah, it was a great fight. I will say she was robbed only because I myself am Puerto Rican and I know Serrano's Puerto Rican as well. So it's just like, ugh. But I don't know if you heard, but there were boos after the announcement
Oh yeah,
of
yeah,
the decision. And I thought it was close, but she definitely should have won.
yeah. I
And
agree.
then I think even from a financial like standpoint, if you had to go down that corruption area, like you definitely need a trilogy, right? So now you really can't have a trilogy between these two. And I did a lot of homework on them, and they've been decorated. Like they've been fighting for a minute, and
Hmm.
I mean, they have a really storied history. So they're champions,
Yeah,
for real, for real. Like they are
yeah.
really like
Hmm.
heavyweights in their area. So they're dope. But yeah, I think the decision should have gone Serrano's way for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, I agree completely. And from the headbutt to the ref
Mhm.
deducting a point, it's just how could the judges' scorecard have be a unanimous decision like that? Yeah, it just didn't make
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, and I will say that just as a side note, I had seen a lot of the promos for it, and I just thought they were like exceptional. Like they were amazing in there and how they kind of presented themselves. And though I'm not a big Paul Brothers fan, I was actually thankful because for some of y'all who may or may not know, the Jake actually lives in Puerto Rico or has a home there, and that's where he trains and does everything. But he's been doing some stuff in Puerto Rico to highlight some of the fighters, and so
Mm,
especially putting her on the card as well as part of his production. So
yeah,
that was dope.
I'm not a big Paul Brothers fan either. I mean,
Yeah,
not at all. I wanted to see
zero.
him get mop with the floor mops him up, whatever. But I did hear the announcer say that he made sure that they got paid equitably, I guess, for
Yeah,
their round. So I thought that was pretty cool.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I wish I knew what that meant.
yeah,
What does equitable mean? Like equitable with y'all, like you and
exactly. I don't think they
Tyson?
got 20 million, but
No, no. But I hope it was a great payday. They put I mean, they really did fight hard. So,
yeah,
and they showed their skills.
yeah,
So way better than the other, lower card fights for sure.
yeah. and they didn't see it as just an exhibition match.
No,
No.
no, not at
So
all.
so kudos to those ladies for getting that done. I've never been really a huge women boxing fan.
Yeah,
It's just, one of those things. It's like I'm not a UFC fan either, or MMA
yeah.
fan. Just I can't watch it. I don't know, something about it. I just can't watch that level of, I don't want to say brutality,
Okay.
but that level of, it's like when it gets, for me, when it gets to that, it's not really a sport. It's a survival type thing. I don't know. It's just
Mm.
weird. It's just weird.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I enjoy
Well,
boxing though. I always have.
I, I probably would counterbalance it by saying that if there are women out there that wanted to participate in that, they don't have a space for that. So that would
Mm-hmm.
be the only place. And then not only that, they probably wouldn't be paid equitably either. So it's
Yeah.
one of those things like you either create your own network and do your own thing and just feature women, but then you won't get the money because folks aren't coming and tuning in unless there's like big names. But
Yeah.
I think boxing's interesting because boxing's been around for a while and they allow women to come into that space in the main market. And then UFC, I'm a huge UFC fan, or I was. I
Okay.
don't watch it as much as I used to, but the women are just technically sound and so skilled. So the brutality aside, I do see the skill set. Like I really do feel like they have real good talent out there, especially in the MMA world in particular and the boxing world.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what it is. I just never really got into UFC. I don't
Yeah.
know. I can't pinpoint one exact thing, but it's just, yeah.
Danny,
Although,
I'm gonna pick you up one day and we're gonna go down to your the next UFC. We're just gonna get tickets and you'll see. You'll be like, oh my, this is amazing. Or you might throw up in the bathroom and be like, this is too much.
maybe it is a in-person type thing. I don't know. It could be.
I don't know. The folks that go to UFCs, I wasn't prepared for that either. Like
Okay.
the folks, it's definitely like a little ruffian back there. They think they are part of the undercard for some reason.
I
Yeah.
saw just real quick when you're talking about the women's boxing and sports. I saw that Whoopi Goldberg launched an all women's sports network.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought that was
cool.
really cool.
I wonder what that'll do. I don't know what backers she has or if she's doing it solo dolo, but I think that's a really interesting thing to have your
Hmm.
own network. So I give her props and kudos. I don't know if she has deep pockets that she can pay, like,
Yeah.
licensing and all that stuff that would, have it aired where she would air it. Is it a pay subscription thing or is it open
Right.
to the public? So I'm giving her mad props because that's the only way that you could put, your money where your mouth is. And it's pretty
Yeah, that's
dope.
true. Hmm.
Now, I don't know if she can do anything with WNBA because, that's expensive right now. So, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see um how that pans out. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool that it's starting to see the elevation of women's sports more. So that's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But I do have thoughts on the Tyson-Paul fight itself.
This is where the music comes in. Dun, dun, dun.
Exactly. Actually, this is where it buffers again. No. um, so the build up to the fight itself, I think, probably was better than the match itself. From the slap at the last weigh-in to the promos they did and building up, hyping up the event was better than the actual event itself, which sometimes happens. I get
Yeah.
it. It's you can never tell when a boxing match is going to um, fizzle out, I guess. But my initial thought, seeing everything, and then when Tyson was walking in, first off, we'll talk about Paul and his car, and that was just annoying to me. But anyways, let's talk about Tyson walking in. He almost slipped on some power cables. I don't know if
Yeah.
you caught that or not,
Yeah.
but I saw that, and right when I saw that, I was like, "Oh no, this is not going to be good. This is not going to
Yeah.
be. This is not going to go the way we're hoping it is." I mean, if he's almost falling down walking in, his
Yeah.
legs are not going to hold up or allow him to do what his mind wants him to do in the ring.
Yeah. And
And
he came to the ring dry. I don't know if you saw that. He
yeah,
actually there was no typically fighters go into the
they
ring, they're warmed
warm up.
up.
And, yep.
He looked completely dry, and I was like, oh boy, we're in trouble. Like his head was still dry. I was sitting there going, this is either a cooked situation where like they made, they staged it,
Hmm.
and or he's gonna get hurt, and that was my big fear. But
Yeah, and
yeah,
I think I went through the whole match with that thought in my head. Don't let him get hurt. Don't let him get
yeah,
knocked down by this guy who doesn't fight real boxers, who doesn't, who's trying to make himself be more than he is, but he doesn't take on matches that will prove that he is what he
yeah.
wants to be. So it's like, don't get hurt by this guy. Don't let that be your lasting legacy. If you lose on
Hmm.
a scorecard on the that's fine, whatever. Don't get knocked out by this guy. And that's what I was when I was watching. That's what I kept thinking.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the interview before that. Mike Tyson was asked about his legacy and what he thought
Oh,
about it,
okay,
and he said he doesn't care about legacy.
yeah,
Like,
that's
and
true.
and
He
and it
doesn't.
was right then and there that I was like, oh gosh, I was like, this was layering up to be like a cash grab situation, and I
Yeah,
was like, come on, Mike, I need you to hit him hard so that he can feel it.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yep.
but I
Yep.
think in the first round, I don't know if you saw this, but I will give Jake Paul. I could tell that he stunned him a little bit with like a hook, and
Hmm.
that's when I knew like everything else went haywire. Like his whole body it just started was not the same when he first came in,
Mm.
and his lateral was terrible. Like he
Yeah,
just
he
couldn't go
couldn't
left or
move.
right, and he was just coming straight ahead. And but I also saw Mike Tyson stunned him when he first started at the beginning, tapped him a few times and showed his power. And that's when Jake was like, nah, man, I'm going to just keep you way far. I'm going to do this hook. I'm
Yeah,
going to
let me
do
just
this
stay
like
out of reach.
jab. He's like jab, jab, jab. And Mike was like, he couldn't get away from the jab, which was weird.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, it's old man versus young man. And I don't think Jake Paul is a terrible fighter. I don't think he's a great fighter. Like you said, the promotion itself was better than like the fight. But yeah, I think that, with you on the same page, like it was just a fear.
Yeah.
And I wish he had come a little bit more prepared. I feel like Mike Tyson 6 months ago when he had to cancel it.
Hmm.
I think there was something wrong physically. I think he might
Yeah.
have
There was like
overdone
a
it.
health scare or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was faster, man. He was so much faster and he was hitting harder. I didn't see any of that last night.
Hmm.
He wasn't fast. He still could hit hard, but he wasn't hitting hard. And then I was like freaking out. I was like, why are these 2 minute rounds? Like, what's up?
Oh yeah.
It was a short fight too. I was just like, yeah. But I actually am thankful it was a short fight
Yeah. Me
because
too.
if it had gone too long, it probably would have been bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. The 2 minute rounds did. I think that was Tyson's request,
Mm,
but I don't know. It was I guess a letdown. Um, and not the kind of letdown where it's a 90-second fight like Michael Spink's fight back in the
yeah.
day, where
Yeah.
everyone pay-per-view paying the hype, and then one round later it's done. We're like, what just
Yeah.
happened? So
Yeah.
not that kind of letdown because we got to see Mike Tyson at his prime, and I don't think a lot of this or the current generation, who are maybe the Jake Paul fans, understand how um how ferocious he was, how dominant he was, and that they might see the film, they might see it, but to live through that, which we both did, to live through
Yeah.
that hype, to live through that tenacity of him and see that it was just something else. It really was.
Dude, even the meetup in the ring back in the day, he
Hmm.
would never blink. He would just look back and
Hmm.
forth if you were moving and trying not to look at Mike, or he was a beast, man.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, after he knocked you out, he would try to pick you up sometimes. It depends on, you know, how he felt about you. But did you ever hear about the story about Muhammad Ali and him?
No, I did not.
Yeah, so when he went to fight Spinks,
Hmm.
he told Muhammad Ali, "I'm going to get revenge for you," because he had Spinks had knocked him out at one of the fights, or
Okay.
something happened within that fight that really prompted him to say, "I'm going to get revenge for you." So when he fought Michael Spinks, he actually let him go longer than he wanted to because he wanted to punish him.
Ah.
And Muhammad Ali said he basically was thanks, thank you for
Mhm.
getting revenge. But it was really interesting. So yeah, he played around with Spinks for a minute until the eventual knockout.
Yeah,
And
that's
it was
cool.
crazy. Yeah, yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know about that.
That's the Mike Tyson I miss.
Yeah,
I miss
absolutely.
that
Yeah, I
Mike
got you.
Tyson.
I will say this though, and the final thought I guess I had on the boxing match itself. So recently, boxing has really taken a backseat to UFC, right? At least from what I can tell. UFC is like the main, when it comes to any sorts of fight, it's the main go-to now for
Mm-hmm.
celebrities, for people, for pay-per-view events, for whatever you want to call it. It's the main draw. And I didn't like that at all because, like I said, not a UFC fan. But this bout really, I hope springboards boxing more into the mainstream because the fact that 120 million people came together on Netflix to watch the same thing at the same time, I thought was really cool. And that's like what I
Mm-hmm.
really love about like pop culture moments is that it brings people from all walks of life together.
Yeah.
And that's what this bout did, I think. And hopefully going forward, it can bring more of that commonness, I guess, all
Yeah.
about the same thing.
I don't know if you remember, but us Gen Xers remember when things were free and on basic TV, even WWF, right? Or
Yeah.
WWE now. They used to have those Saturday night
Yeah, I
fights.
remember those. Yeah.
Remember those? And even the
Yep.
boxing matches used to be free on the weekends.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are,
Friday night
I think they
fights and
need,
stuff like that.
yeah, Friday night fights. I think they need to bring those back because
Yeah.
you're right. The the actual attraction for those are kind of already baked in
Hmm.
fandom, and so if you're trying to reach and make more money and reach a bigger audience, you need to actually provide some free stuff, which is why UFC sort of kind of does that with airing their ESPN
Hmm.
plus the pre-fights, and then people pay for it. The second thing is I don't remember being 70, $80 to $100 to actually buy something, a sporting event that you have to purchase. And I think that's also something that they have to adjust the cost for so that everyday people can get to it. So I think they can find some happy medium in between
Hmm.
with going old school and putting it on NBC Sports, sponsoring that, and then even doing, they've done it with Prime and some of the NFL
Hmm.
Thursday
Hmm.
night football. So that brings a different, folks who can't afford that subscription. But ultimately, you need a hybrid situation where you have
Yeah.
both of those options. And then when you want to pay for the big fights, you can. I don't know if it needs to be $70 a pop, but I'm okay with 50. I know that's a $20, $30 sometimes, price up markup, but yeah, that's the thing. I feel like we have to get back to basics in that way and make sure that people are getting tapped into that because some people they just can't afford it.
Yeah. True. I know I never bought a boxing match, but I went to people's houses that did. I remember
Right.
like the whole uh, Oscar De La Hoya Cesar Chavez fights back in
Yep.
the day.
Yep.
Uh, those were a pay-per-view. Remember going to watch them at I was working at a movie theater at the time, a couple of those fights, and all the management staff would go to like our general manager's house.
Yeah.
No one would stay behind. I think we left one manager behind to run the whole theater, but we
Yeah.
all went to the house to watch it, and that was
Yeah.
just fun. That was exciting. See, that's bring everyone together moment type thing, and I'm hoping we get more of that.
That's actually a really good idea for movie theaters to actually host those
Oh
events,
yeah, that would be
and
cool.
charge, I don't know how much they would charge, but that would be really cool. There's probably some issues with broadcasting licensing rights, but I think that'd be really cool. Like AMC, come see
Hmm.
your fight and just pay, $15 or
On a big
whatever.
screen, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially now, also even getting to like some of the VR technology with like Meta
Yep.
Quest or whatever. You put those thing on, you're right there ringside. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's lots of ways they can utilize the newer technologies now to do that.
See, Danny, I think we need to write a business model, put it together, and then just market it. Just do the elevator pitch. Say, hey, this is a new age. You want to
There
bring
we
people
go.
back in, you got a multi talented stuff. If UFC, you can do all that stuff in there. A lot of these,
Yeah,
folks, maybe charge them $10 and just fill out your whole half of your movie theater.
there you
And I
go.
think people will come out, especially
I
the
think
ones
so.
that are doing alcohol and
Hmm.
like food, like
Hmm.
those places should be doing that big time.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But I guess at the end of the day, the whole hoopla around the Netflix boxing live. This was like their first ever live boxing match on Netflix. This was,
Yeah.
and I always thought, once they got into streaming, they should do more live events. So I hope they learn lessons from this, especially in preparedness with their bandwidth, maybe getting different commentators that will, won't annoy me. I was fine with Rosie Perez. The other dude annoyed me. The main commentator, I just couldn't stand him. I don't know why.
Oh yeah,
Um,
he was annoying.
well, good.
I
It
don't
wasn't
even know
just
who he
me.
was.
I don't. Yeah, I didn't know I don't know, but he called it the square circle. I was like, this isn't wrestling. Don't
Uh,
call it that. It's like, uh.
Dude,
Anyways,
were you floored when Rosie Perez knew more about boxing than people gave her credit for it? Like I
yeah,
was
I
sitting there going,
was.
and the commentators looked at her and were like, "What? Like, oh shoot, you know your stuff for real, or you did your homework at least."
Yeah, it's funny because I was just watching right before I switched over to the boxing match. I was watching White Men Can't Jump,
Mm-hmm.
and she looks the same almost
The
from
same,
the '92 to today. I was like, wow,
the same.
she looks awesome. She looks the same. So kudos to whatever she's drinking, doing over there. Um, whatever she's taking supplement wise, I want to know because I want to look that good too.
Yeah, I
Um,
know. You know what it is? It's the Puerto Rican.
yeah.
Like if you just gotta go back to the El Yunque in the rainforest, drench yourself in the waters. Just get into the waters. They'll replenish you. They'll make you whole again. So the ancestral waters will get you back. And so that's what I'm suggesting for you, Danny. Go to
Okay,
Puerto Rico and just jump in the water.
I'll go find
Andre.
my Jewish ancestry to get them to go to Puerto Rico
There we
and get
go.
that.
Yeah, bottle it up for real. Um, I will say I was interested to see that they try to legitimize a lot of it. Some of the folks I didn't recognize in the boxing world, but Andre Ward is a accomplished boxer,
Yeah,
so he was
yeah,
the other host and
and Roy Jones
and
Jr. of
Royce
course.
Jones Jr.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty. That was a big come up for me.
yeah,
I think that was really legitimizing the whole event
yeah.
overall was pretty dope. So I hope they do more, but bigger ones.
That was
Like
going to be my question to you. Do you want to
yeah.
see? Would you want to see more of things like that on Netflix?
I would. I know Oscar De La Hoya is his production company are
Golden
probably
Boy
having a brain
Productions.
aneurysm. Yeah, they do not like people messing with their money, especially they have a beef with UFC and Dana White anyway. But I don't know with Netflix being in the mix of things. Like I even think sporting events is interesting, but it probably would be too costly for them,
Mm,
and I'm sure folks who are subscribers wouldn't want to pay more than they're
yeah,
already
yeah, that's true.
subscribing to.
Yeah,
So they have to be careful. They're doing, they're paying people out the wazoo for, comedy, stand-up comedy,
mm-hmm.
and so those productions, so those cost a lot of money too. But they also bring in new subscribers, revenue, and controversy sometimes. So
Yeah,
it'll be interesting.
yeah. Well, I think that we shall see. I mean, like you said,
Yeah.
it's going to turn out. Is it going to be like ooh, what's that subscription? I think it's like Fubu Top TV or something like that. It has like all these different tier levels of plans you can get
Yep.
for, oh, you want the live show, you got to buy this add-on package. You got to, so
Yeah.
hopefully it doesn't go that way. I mean, Netflix already changed their pricing plans for the ad tier level and their no ad level. And you can't watch this movie if you're on the ads because of licensing and keep it simple. I like stuff simple.
I will say, and again, Netflix, if you need to hire somebody who could be a consultant, that would be me. But, I actually think that there's a market for those games like football, right?
Mm,
Not American football, but like globally thinking
yeah,
about, soccer slash football. I think that you could tap into that within your streaming platform, and they probably would get the same numbers that they would get for or what happened last night with the boxing match.
Hmm.
I actually think that might be the future for Netflix if they want to create some ad revenue or make big time money.
Yeah.
And I think they would get a ton of subscribers. I also think you could also make it regional. So based on the region, you can actually really promote it and they could test it out
Hmm.
overseas beforehand to see if it'll work.
Yeah, that's true. Although with football, I think overseas is probably the better marketplace for
Yeah.
that than here in
You'd
the
be
United States.
surprised. You'd be surprised. I've known a lot of folks who are upset that they can't get certain.
Interesting.
Um, yeah,
Okay.
it's finally taking over here, which is really interesting. There's a lot of people playing football, and since here in America, yeah, we are into the American football market, but football, global football, is actually, the United States in particular, we're very international in that way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. True.
you think about the World Cup, I've actually seen some crazy stuff happen when they host things at stadiums where it's packed
Oh
here
yeah.
in Maryland and the DC area. There's like a ton of folks, especially the Latino folks who come out and live out here. So, you're talking about millions of folks who are like clamoring for that type of engagement. So I think it actually would be a really good deal. And
Interesting.
Messi's over here now, you
But
know what I mean?
I wonder though, and you talked about this before with the UFC, is it more of a draws the in person and not so much the television viewing? Because I know here in Vegas at Allegiant Stadium to host some of the national teams, and there's crowds are crazy when it comes
Yeah,
around that. It's like packed, and
yeah.
I know because I drive through the traffic, and it's just like, what's going on?
I think I've
But
been in that traffic when I was visiting. That
okay,
was like, oh my God, this is more than usual.
and but does that translate to how many viewers would watch it on TV or a streaming platform?
Well, yeah, I think so. I mean, if you think about it, Netflix isn't just an American company,
Yeah,
it's
true.
actually, global. And so
Hmm.
I think people would tap into that. Now, do they have deep pockets for that too? That's the other piece, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
I think for us, we think of football as kind of like that other sport, but it actually probably, just like with anything else, when you think about other mediums like music,
Yeah,
all that stuff is larger elsewhere. We just have an American exceptionalism
yeah,
standpoint.
that's
Like
true.
we think
Yeah.
everything originated here, was developed here, is more successful here, but like Mark Anthony is a superstar because he's
Hmm.
global. But then he came over here because he wanted to stardom, so to speak, right? That's American, only American. A lot of folks are going overseas to get the notoriety, right? People go to
Yeah,
Germany, people go to other places. You got K-pop, you got all these other
yeah,
things that are,
yeah.
and I'm circling around music, but like let's stick to the football analogy. Like I feel like you can make money elsewhere. That's
Oh
why
yeah.
Mexico has billionaires in the top 10, 15 of all time, right? Like there's people
Hmm.
that own those stations and those media companies. They're making bank over there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're not the only game in town. That's the other thing. So if Netflix was smart, they would put their money into doing maybe some games and or matches on that platform just to test it out.
So A, they would hire you as a consultant to be
Correct.
their scheduling, consultant. I gotcha. B, then you would then put on those matches on their live streams. Got it.
Yeah, there's money to be made everywhere. It's just the denominations are different. It's just,
I like
you
that. Yeah,
know,
that's very true.
and you got to consider like even India and cricket, right? That's a big
Hmm.
market. Could you imagine having a cricket match that you can actually opt in and purchase, a package or just
That's
host
such a
it?
niche market, though, especially here in the
Yeah,
U.S.
yeah, but
Um,
you got over a billion Indian folks watching it. Like
yeah,
that's money.
yeah, that's true.
Even if it is one match, you're just like, oh shoot, I just got a whole bunch of subscribers.
The thing, and I'll end with this for this episode. So watching the boxing match, I kept coming back to this thought: how far are we away from getting some sort of real life celebrity death match?
Oh God.
Do you
I
remember
hope.
that
Yeah, I remember
animated
that. I
cartoon?
hope not. Never. Good Lord, that sounds like something Arnold Schwarzenegger would be in a movie
Like a
about.
running man type
Yeah,
of deal.
yeah, yeah. I hope never. Except maybe some people, I kind of wouldn't mind that happening, which would be kind of funny. Yeah. or maybe even robots to the, like actual like robots. Like
Yeah,
that would be kind of cool.
kind of like a real steel, the
Yeah.
film. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boxers, on the sideline, but in the ring, it's actually robots going at it. I
Yeah.
could dig that. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think that would be really cool. Or even if you did like I don't know, like a VR situation, like you said, or something
Hmm.
around the new technology and that people can actually check it out. I'm thinking about even Apple, like that'd be really cool. They
Oh,
have
okay.
death matches between celebrities and they would train like regular, but
Yeah,
it'd be really
but there
cool.
would be like their avatars going at it as opposed to them. Yeah,
Yep. Yep. And then
interesting.
maybe the purses, you get money, and then whoever loses has to stop doing what
Yeah,
they're doing
has to disappear from the limelight. Exactly.
forever. Yeah. I'd want to see that for
There
sure.
you go. I would like that. That'd be cool. You could have like different places, like you can get your underground fight, so it's in
Yeah.
like some sort of abandoned warehouse or something, and it makes you look like you're in the movie Lionheart. Remember that with
Yeah.
Van Damme, and it's just like this. That'd be kind of fun.
That
Be
would
another thing we
be.
need to look into.
See, another industry we have not tapped into yet, y'all.
There we go. Well, everyone out there, this has been our first run through of Pop Cult X The Buzz. If you're watching this, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for stopping by. Jen, it's always great talking with you.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Hopefully we'll do this again soon. And everyone out there, we'll see you all next time.
Peace.